Well, I want to thank you again for coming to take a look at this beautiful car with us. We're going to continue this view, and I want to come over here and show you how the doors open up. You push the little button right here, and then it pops out, and you can go inside here. And we were looking at this a little earlier, and the owner was telling me that these are the original door panels. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. And the rears are also original.
Oh, back in here too. I see. I got you. All right. Well, things that I'm noticing here. First off, everything looks pretty much as it would have been in the day.
Yeah, the paint is really held up. I think it's probably benefited from being stored indoors.
Absolutely.
99% of the time.
Well, the way the sun eats things up, I've got to believe that this has been carefully stored and it shows.
Yeah.
Now, the steering wheel. Tell me about that.
That was from Ireland Engineering there in California. They're
Okay.
a BMW. They do go fast stuff, and they do, all kinds of things.
Racing and aftermarket kind of things?
Yeah,
Okay.
just and do restorations and such.
Okay.
So they're good folks to deal with.
So looking over here at the dash, you've got your speedometer and odometer. Now, as far as the mileage, we don't know what the mileage actually is.
No.
Okay. Then I'm looking over here. You've got a modern tachometer because it's so important to know what you're doing when it comes to engine, your RPMs.
I found one that would fit that space and didn't look too garish.
It really fits in very nicely. Then over here you've got a 1962 AM radio, correct?
Yep. It's got tubes in it that light up.
Oh wow, wow.
You have to be kind of old to
know
about tubes and radio.
Boy, I'm telling you, that goes back a ways too. And the kick panels down here, that's original. On both sides you've got the kick panels there.
Yeah.
And then looking underneath here, I can see down here you've got your the steering shaft, which is not as thick as they are today. And then over here you've got a button down here, actually a pull switch, and that's to regulate the air that's coming in.
Right. Yeah. That's your driver and passenger vent.
Okay.
Picks up windshield air, basically the windshield, and puts it through these tubes.
Louvers. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of that's the original design.
Now, looking at the shifter here, that's very nice too. And I noticed the key is right down in front of it, so that's where the ignition switch is.
Yeah, that's their anti-theft device from the 60s. So that when you park the car and you put it in gear and take the key out, there's like a little mechanical door that locks, and so you can't grow anywhere because it won't can't get it out of gear.
That's great.
So you probably don't put it in reverse.
Yeah.
And that way nobody can really take off with it.
Now I noticed these two little handles down here between the seat. Are those also vents?
No, that one is the right hand side is a vent for the heater.
Okay.
That picks up air off the exhaust. And the left hand one is the choke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. And then I noticed you had replaced these, but this and you got the little bar up here.
Yeah.
But you've got modern type of visors. So driving the car, you have the protection from the sun that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Let's go take a look at the motor.
Okay.
All right. Now I'm just noticing back here too, you've got the BMW 700. Over here it shows Sport. It's a Sport coupe, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Sport, it's got different equipment. It standard has 2 carburetors. It also has the same exhaust, but it's got slightly different camshaft. So in the stock configuration, it probably puts out about another 10 horsepower from the normal one. It also has a closer ratio transmission. It has a rear sway bar. All these things are just unique to the Sport coupes.
You know, people say 10 horsepower, that's not much, but back in those days.
Well, that's like 15% more.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's see. I'll let you open it up here. You got the little bar that goes down there. Okay.
Everything's mechanical.
All right. Well, this does not look like it's 100% stock to me. You've got some nice work that's been done in here. So can you tell me some of the things that have been done to this motor?
Yes, it's been rebuilt. The compression's a little bit higher than standard, just for the little bit more pep. And I put this carburetor, it's a 2-barrel Weber on there, and it's size-wise, it's about the same as 2 individual Solexes, which the car comes with, which I still have. But just the smoothness and the throttle response is much better with this particular setup because it's much more modern carburetor than the original one.
Well, you also, there's not as much tuning, right?
No, it's very, very easily to tune and set up, and the throttling is so much more precise, and because it's in the standard setup, the carburetors are quite a distance apart, so there's big linkage to hook those two up, and it just doesn't seem to always want to stay just like it should. So that's why I made this change.
Now, what do you have over here showing
That's the oil pressure.
Oil pressure?
Yeah. This is like a motorcycle, though, from the era, and the oil pressure is not really important like it is in a regular car.
Yeah.
Because so much of it is not really a pressure fed. It's got roller bearings in the crankshaft and all that on the rods. So it just needs like a constant supply of oil.
Right.
But it's just nice to know if you got oil pressure or not.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, then, talking about heat and stuff, so this does not have a radiator.
No, it's strictly air cooled.
Okay, so
the air is drawn in, right, believe it or not, through this hole behind the tag.
Okay.
It's a large hole, and it sucks in, and that's the fan.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
And it pulls the air in, and this is like what VW and Porsche had for generations.
I was going to say, there's another German company that I heard about that I think has done quite a few engines that were rear engine, and they were air cooled.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name right now. P something.
Because of the P, yeah.
P or something. Anyway.
Yeah, it's and it's amazing, really, if you're running the engine, how much air is generated by this fan that's in this housing there, and it's directed right over all the cylinders and the cylinder heads. I mean, it's a phenomenal amount of air. It's just surprising.
Well, I guess
so you see why it works.
Well, I guess you can say that the engine is it's air cooled, but it's probably also oil cooled.
Yes, it is. It has an oil cooler internally in that housing.
Okay.
That it's a coil affair.
Okay.
And the oil comes out, goes through that. Of course, the air is blown right over it. It's just right behind the fan. And then that goes back into the engine. It cools it off quite well.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they thought of almost everything.
I'm going to get down here now and take a look at the bottom of this car because this muffler intrigues me. So you didn't get this at Midas, I don't think.
No, it's not. That's all my creation. I bought the component parts, stainless steel, and the internals, plus the sound deadening material from a company in California that specializes in that.
Okay.
Because I just wanted a muffler that was going to be not too loud.
Right.
And would also look nice. And so that's one of my creations. Along with the exhaust pipes, I've created my own headers and then wrapped them for the heat.
Oh, yeah, I see. They're wrapped right there.
Yeah. That's just to keep the heat down
from
in the engine compartment.
That's amazing. Now down below here too, I see this is the heat sink. Is that what they call that for your oil?
Oh, that's that's the sport.
Okay.
Special sport. It's got fins on it to keep the airflow, and then that cools the oil to some extent.
Okay.
Plus, it's got a little more capacity because we added a spacer to it, so it holds another quart of oil.
That's good.
Yeah. So it's all about just longevity and keeping everything running without exhausting. Because being a small motor, it doesn't have a lot of oil capacity normally. But
well, having another quart, that's a real advantage because you give more volume, gives you more opportunity for it to get cooled off.
Absolutely.
The bottom looks great. Now, this is a rear-wheel drive vehicle, correct?
Oh yeah, it has that transaxle right there.
Okay.
4-speed transaxle that's in front of the
there we
engine.
go. Okay.
And it's a nice. It's got synchronizers in all the gears.
Okay.
All 4 gears. So and of course it's got these drum brakes from the period, which do a remarkable job. Really, and because the car doesn't weigh much.
Right.
The gross weight, without a passenger in it, is just around a little under 1,300 pounds.
Oh, that's not much at all.
So it doesn't need a lot of power nor capacity to make it go.
Well, I tell you, this is a beautiful piece of history. and we're looking at history of BMW, but also history of automobiles, and how they would approach all of these different things you have to think about as far as, well, the drive of the car, the position of the motor, the technology that's involved in putting the transaxle together. All of these are things that led to things that we're even using still today. So,
Well, the interesting thing, kind of a sub-story about this particular model of the 700s, they produced the first one in '59 for sale, but this was the first car that BMW ever made that was a unibody.
oh,
Meaning there's not an extra frame under it.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
it's all welded together.
right.
And so this was the model that came along just before Mercedes, believe it or not, was about to buy BMW
Okay.
because they just were out of money.
Right.
So they got this car going in because it was produced in a both two doors. All three of the models were in two doors, but then there was a cabriolet convertible, and there's also like a little sedan.
Yeah.
And because this car is, holds four people if you really want
Right.
to. Wouldn't want to go very far unless you were a child
Right.
in the back.
Right.
But this is the car, believe it or not, that's credited with saving BMW from being sold.
Wow.
Because they sold almost 200,000 of these.
How about
And
that?
that was really enough to put them back into the black far enough to survive.
That's terrific. Well, it truly is a piece of history, automobile history and BMW history. Well, I want to thank you so much for showing us your beautiful car here. You say it's time to take on a new project, and
Always another project.
always another project. Well, this would be a wonderful addition to anybody's collection, and if they happen to like BMWs, this has got a lot of history and a lot of stories behind it. So we want to thank everybody for joining us again today, and we'll see you next time.